Welcome back to the deep dive. Our mission today is to really cut through all the noise. We're talking about one of those purchases it's so emotional, right?
Yeah.
But also incredibly confusing.
Oh, absolutely.
Fine jewelry. And specifically, we're focusing on how to define and find affordable luxury. And we're going to look at how to navigate that market right here, locally in Allen, Texas.
Yeah, and this is such an essential deep dive because the jewelry market, it just operates in extremes.
Hmm.
Our sources show that opacity it's basically built into the system. You're dealing with materials that range so wildly. You can find, a piece of treated glass for $1,
Hmm.
or you could be looking at a unique, unheated, emerald-cut alexandrite that's going for $10 million at auction.
Wow.
And the difference between those two is a world of complexity. And if you don't have the knowledge, you're completely at the mercy of the seller.
That's the challenge. The price gaps are huge, and the difference between, great value and a massive ripoff, it often comes down to details you just can't see. So our goal is simple. By the end of this conversation, you will have a clear 3-part strategy. You'll know how to find quality, how to understand the real intrinsic value, and how to make a smart decision or get the best price when you sell.
We want to arm you with the specifics, the numbers, the language, the right certifications, so you can walk into any store or exchange with the confidence of an expert.
Absolutely. And before we really get into the anatomy of a sparkle, we want to give a shout out to the partner who makes this whole deep dive possible. Allen Gold and Silver Exchange. They've established themselves as the top trusted jewelry buyer and seller in Texas, known for their 5-star service. So whether you're appraising, buying, selling diamonds, antique jewelry, gems, coins, gold, watches, you name it, they are the trusted experts right here in Allen.
Okay, let's unpack this. We're on the hunt for affordable luxury. To really get what quality means, we have to understand that spectrum you mentioned. What separates that $1 gem from a multi-million-dollar masterpiece, and how do we use that when we're trying not to break the bank?
The foundational difference is almost always rarity. It's not just size. So that $1 gem might be a beautiful but common stone. Something like a rhodolite garnet, people sometimes call it the poor man's sapphire.
It looks great, but it's widely available. Now, contrast that with, say, a royal blue sapphire, maybe 3.57 carats. That could cost you $10,000 because it's a specific color, probably from Sri Lanka, and it's been heated to enhance that color, which is a very common and accepted treatment.
So it's not about size, it's about geological scarcity and that color saturation.
Precisely. And that's why those spectacular stones, like that unheated rare color alexandrite, can hit $10 million. They don't exist in that quality and size on the market.
Right.
Which brings us right to verification. If you're dealing with any significant value, you have to have certification. Certificates from labs like GIA or GOIN, plus a professional appraisal.
Yeah.
They are absolutely essential to verify where the stone is from, any treatments, and its value. Without the paperwork, you're just guessing.
That makes perfect sense for color gems. Let's shift to diamonds, though, because that's where most people put their jewelry budget. We hear constantly about the 4 C's. Cut, carat, color, clarity. For our listener, the person who wants maximum brilliance without paying a premium for perfection they can't even see, where's the value sweet spot?
Okay, this is key. You need to prioritize the C that gives you the most visual impact, and that's the cut. Then, you strategically save money on the 2 C's that give you diminishing returns: color and clarity.
All right, let's start with the non-negotiable one, cut. Why is that number 1?
Cut determines the fire and brilliance, the sparkle. It's all about physics. If a diamond is cut too deep or too shallow, light just leaks out the bottom instead of reflecting back up to your eye. The visual difference between a fair cut and an excellent cut is astronomical, even if the stones are identical otherwise. Our sources always recommend striving for very good or excellent. Don't skimp on the cut.
Understood. Maximize cut for sparkle. Now for the strategy. Where can we save some serious money on color?
Color is the best place to save. And it's because of what we call imperceptible differences. The color scale goes from D, which is colorless, down to Z. DF is colorless, and GI is called near colorless. The vast majority of people, like 95%, cannot visually tell the difference between a high-end F color and a mid-range H color, especially once it's set in a ring.
So what's the cost difference for that jump that you can't even see?
Oh, it's significant. You might pay 20 to 30% more to go from an H to an F.
Wow.
You're paying a huge premium for a distinction that you'd need a lab to even see. So our recommendation for affordable luxury is to target a G, H, or I color. They look brilliantly white, but you avoid that premium for a difference nobody will ever notice.
That's fantastic practical advice. Okay, what about clarity? The goal is SI1, slightly included one. Why that specific grade?
SI1 is the benchmark for eye clean.
Eye clean.
Right. It means a professional might see inclusions under 10x magnification, but you, wearing it on your hand, will not see them with a naked eye. If you jump up to VS or VVS categories, you are literally paying thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars more to make sure the stone is flawless under a microscope.
And that's a premium you just don't need.
It's completely wasted on a piece of jewelry that you're wearing every day.
And the warning was to stay away from anything below I1.
Yes. Once you get into the I1, I2, I3 categories, you risk the inclusions becoming visible without magnification. And, more importantly, sometimes they can actually compromise the stone's durability. So, stick to SI1 or better. It's the perfect balance.
One last thing on diamonds before we move on. You mentioned that some shapes, like ovals and pears, have a risk of something called the bow tie effect. What is that?
The bow tie effect is this dark shape that can cut across the center of those elongated stones. It literally looks like a little tuxedo bow tie. It happens when the facet angles are cut poorly, and it causes light to leak out of the sides instead of reflecting back up. It's essentially a dark spot.
So it's a sign of a bad cut.
A poor cut, exactly. Round diamonds almost never have this issue, but if you love that elongated look, and they do look about 15% larger for the same carat weight, you just have to be really careful to choose a well-cut stone.
So that's the luxury side unpacked. Maximize the cut, aim for GI color, and keep clarity eye clean at SI1. Now we have to get to the affordable side, which means dealing with some cold, hard math. The value of the metal.
Absolutely. The affordable part of the equation is impossible if you don't know the real value of the gold.
Yeah.
You have to know the intrinsic melt value before you even look at a retail markup.
Right, otherwise you're negotiating blind.
Completely.
So this starts with understanding the carat system. Can you just walk us through that purity calculation?
Sure, it's a 24-part system. Pure gold is 24 carat. So to find the gold percentage in your piece, you just divide the caratage by 24. A standard 14-carat ring, for example, you take 14 divided by 24. That gives you 0.583. So your ring is 58.3% pure gold.
And what if we see a number stamped on it, like 750?
That's common on European or international pieces. It's parts per 1,000. So 750 means 750 parts out of 1,000, or 75.0% pure gold.
Got it. So once you have that percentage, you can figure out the actual melt value.
Exactly.
Let's use a real example because this is where it gets a little dense. Say you have a 10-gram, 14-carat gold chain, and let's say the spot price of gold today is $2,000 per troy ounce. How do we figure out what that gold is actually worth?
Perfect. So we know the purity is 0.583. You multiply that by the total weight, 10 grams. That gives you 5.83 grams of pure gold in that chain. That's your first key number.
Okay, 5.83 grams of pure gold.
Next, we need the price per gram. Spot price is always quoted per troy ounce, which is 31.1 grams.
Right.
So you take this spot price, $2,000, and divide it by 31.1. That gives you roughly $64.31. That's the market price for 1 gram of pure gold.
So $64.31 per gram.
Now for the final step. You multiply the pure gold weight, 5.83 grams, by the value per gram, $64.31. The intrinsic melt value of that 14-carat chain is approximately $375.
$375. That number is everything for a buyer and a seller. And this is where that huge warning from our sources comes in. When you walk into a corporate store, they're not basing their price on $375. Their markups often range from 300% to 1,000%.
Or even more.
Meaning that same chain could be priced at $1,500, $2,500, I mean, 5 times the actual value of the gold content.
That intrinsic value, that $375, is your non-negotiable financial anchor. It's the value of the raw material before anyone's even touched it.
So if the intrinsic value is $375 and we accept there's a markup for craftsmanship and profit, what's a reasonable target for a buyer?
For affordable luxury, our sources suggest you should avoid paying more than double the actual gold content value. So in our example, that means try not to pay more than $750 for that chain.
And is that what a professional seller would aim for?
A professional dealer, especially a local exchange, will often try to make double the intrinsic value their final selling price. It's a fair goal for them.
So if the ceiling is double, where should a buyer start negotiating?
You should probably start your negotiation at around 50% above the intrinsic value. So for the $375 piece, maybe start your offer around $560. That gives you room to meet closer to that $750 mark. It lets you push back against those crazy retail markups without being insulting to a fair dealer. Knowing the math gives you the power to just walk away.
That's a great, actionable strategy, and it really highlights why transparency is just everything in this market. And a key to avoiding those huge hidden markups is going to a transparent, trustworthy source from the very beginning. And this brings us back to our partner for this deep dive, Allen Gold and Silver Exchange. They specialize in appraising all of this stuff, gold, gems, antique jewelry, by getting a transparent valuation from a trusted local source, and they are known for their 5-star reviews. You ensure you know the true intrinsic value of what you're looking at. It protects you from those insane corporate markups. Their number is 469-403-8356. Okay, moving into our final segment. Why should we look past the big, shiny box stores or national chains and instead find a trusted local buyer, like the ones in Allen? It seems to come down to service, transparency, and, peace of mind.
The big retailers, and especially those traveling buyer shows, they operate on a completely different model than a local exchange. Our sources point out two really big financial risks. The first is the markups we just covered. The second is the push for unnecessary warranties.
Oh, the extended warranties. They push those so hard. Are they worth it?
Almost never. Not for fine jewelry. Our sources found a warranty might cost you $600 or more. But a simple repair, like replacing a tiny lost stone, might only cost you $70. And worse, those warranties are often voided if you miss a single annual inspection. You pay a fortune, miss one checkup in year 2, and the whole thing is worthless.
So you're better off just saving the money.
You are. Put that $600 in an envelope labeled future repairs.
And when you're selling, the risks are even clearer.
The biggest risk is the lack of transparency. You should avoid any buyer who takes your items into a back room to appraise them.
Right.
Or who just offers you a single lump sum without breaking it down. That's how they hide lowball offers. One investigation actually showed that some traveling buyers offered as little as 47% of the gold's actual melt value.
Less than half.
Less than half. A trusted local expert, on the other hand, will often have a certified gemologist who does the valuation right there in front of you. They itemize it all: gold weight, stone quality, everything. You see the math?
So local expertise means better transparency in pricing, but the local services also offer something unique, right? Flexibility.
That's the utility of the local exchange model. They offer options big retailers just can't. They can buy items from you outright, or they can offer secured loans, what people often call pawning, where your item is just collateral. This gives you immediate cash. It can be anywhere from $100 to $50,000. It's fast, efficient, and there's often no credit check.
So it's a vital source of capital if you need it.
It really is.
And when you connect all these dots, the transparency, the fair pricing, the flexible services, it all leads to peace of mind.
It absolutely does. When you go to a reputable local dealer, especially one with deep roots in the community, you're dealing with professionals who live and die by their reputation. They often offer a satisfaction guarantee. Some will even pay for return shipping if you decide not to take their offer. Their focus is on building a long-term business in Allen, not just making the biggest margin on one sale.
Okay, let's unpack this one last time. The mission was finding affordable luxury jewelry and the best value in Allen, TX. What's the final takeaway?
To succeed, you have to be an informed consumer. Prioritize the cut for sparkle. Save your money on color. Aim for that G through I range. And most critically, always know your gold's intrinsic value. Never pay more than double that melt value for the metal. And for that transparent valuation and honest service, the local exchange is just the overwhelmingly smarter choice.
And if you're looking to buy or sell jewelry, watches, or any other valuables in Allen TX, we really encourage you to start with the local experts known for their 5-star service and fair appraisals, Allen Gold and Silver Exchange. Give them a call at 469-403-8356. They appraise diamonds, antique jewelry, gems, gold, luxury watches, and so much more. Here's where it gets really interesting, though. We talked about how to calculate the intrinsic value of gold. But historically, gold isn't just a commodity. It's seen as financial catastrophe insurance. Even if you're buying a piece of jewelry just because it's beautiful, the value embedded in that pure gold has endured since 1971, when the dollar came off the gold standard. So when you choose a high-quality piece, using the rules we talked about, maximizing the cut, knowing the real value, you're not just buying a beautiful object, you're buying real wealth that has historically held its purchasing power, even as the dollar has eroded. Something powerful to mull over as you begin your smart, informed search for affordable luxury.